With all the videos I made on Artemis 2, this so-called mission back to the moon, this is something I saw with Neil deGrasse Tyson and his co-host Chuck Nice on Star Talk. And with all the lies, as usual, they also give us a nugget of truth, and that gets into the video itself. As you can see here, nearly 5 million views. It was from April 2nd for those that have not seen it. And here you see Chuck Nice and Neil deGrasse Tyson, and there's always Easter eggs in plain sight. And before playing this video clip with the complete mockery of the so-called moon missions between 1969 and 1972, take a look here. You see the half-crescent moon mask. And again, these are occultists. We'll get more of that. But let's first off play this video clip and the complete mockery.
NASA.
All right. NASA's going back to the moon.
Yes. Let's back up a little.
All right.
Okay. The first and only other time we went to the moon was the Apollo program.
Correct.
As you know, we went to the moon 9 times.
We faked it 9 times.
And you hear this so-called joke by Chuck Nice about faking the moon missions 9 times. I'll get into the number 9, which is very important. But first off, as I've shown in previous videos on Artemis 2, we'll get into the occultic side here. Of course, taking place on April Fool's Day. It's a big joke on the public. Also 33 numerology. And also, as I pointed out in a previous video on Artemis 2, you had the very first so-called image of the ball Earth. It took place April 1st, April Fool's Day, 1960. And again, the occultic side, this is going to be a little bit different video from my past ones. I already covered the launch. I covered every aspect of the fake mission itself. But the occultic side is what I want to get into in this video presentation with Neil deGrasse Tyson. There's many things happening, many things going on with this individual in this photo itself. First off, obviously the orange in the background, and orange being the only color numerology that is 33. And they have Neil deGrasse Tyson, obviously, with DeGrasse in the middle. There's a reason it's not just Neil Tyson, because DeGrasse's middle name is 33 as well. And the first name, Neil, like someone's kneeling, like in a Masonic lodge, as you see here. And these are Masonic rituals taking place with the kneeling. And something I've not seen presented by anybody else in truth when it comes to the name. When you flip it around, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And the very first thing I spotted was the 322. Of course, this all has to do with Freemasonry and the Skull and Bones Secret Society at Yale University. And of course, as many know, with the name itself, you see the 3 and the 3 for 33. And that gets into the whole topic, which I covered many times in the past. The law of reversal by Aleister Crowley goes back further to Eliphas Levi, where they learn to write backwards, walk backwards, listen to phonographic records in reverse, speaking backwards, reading backwards. So this is huge. This is not something just pulled out of thin air. This is a concept, this is a principle that they applied, which I showed many instances in the past, different examples. And here's another one, and that gets into this. And the specific number of times they faked the moon landing, as Neil deGrasse Tyson stated. Take a listen once again.
We went to the moon 9 times.
The number 9. And again, this is something I put on the past. This is Satan's number, where Anton LaVey, during ceremony, the hymn to Satan, where when he performs a satanic ritual, he revolves a bell counterclockwise before his followers. He rings the bell 9 times. Again, Satan's number. So let's be very clear about this. Everything they do, there's a reason. And of course, doing things in reverse, that gets into the countdown. Obviously, a countdown is counting down the numbers in reverse, obviously. Let's take a quick listen once again to the Artemis 2 countdown and that number 33, as I shown before in a previous video.
0 is coming up at T-minus 33 seconds.
T-minus 33 seconds, and the countdown, obviously 10 to 0. In the occultic aspect, once again, as I pointed out with NASA and T-minus, S-A-T, T-minus, you get Satan with NASA. When you take away the T, then you add the T back. And obviously perfectly aligned with the chevron. Chevron's 33. In numerology, obviously the red and blue make purple for witchcraft. But again, the chevron itself, this forked tongue when it comes down to it, perfectly angled with a serpent. So let's be very clear about what's taking place here. And I want to mention as well, doing a lot of research over the years, and with the obvious countdown, counting backwards, that gets back to Aleister Crowley doing things backwards, doing things in reverse. That gets into this. The whole concept of the countdown, counting backwards. It was first popularized in this 1929 silent movie made in Germany by Fritz Lang. As you can see here, it's titled Woman in the Moon. So it's based on a so-called moon mission. Here you see a screenshot from the movie itself. So how everything is interconnected through time, through history. And speaking about this German silent film based on the moon, that gets back to the godfather of NASA himself, Werner von Braun, as many know, in 1977 with his tombstone, with the Bible verse that mentions the firmament, God's created dome over the earth itself. So everything is in plain sight. People just need to dig deeper, think deeper, and the truth will come out in the end when it comes to all this. And again, these individuals always leak the truth out. That's just the concept of duality. And that gets back to, again, Neil deGrasse Tyson with DeGrasse being 33 numerology. And this is something I caught with Chuck Nice, his co-host. As you can see, the two penguins in the back, but take a look here. Again, the Easter eggs. And take a look, Chuck Nice being 33. His co-host just so happens to be a 33 name, and the two penguins, when it comes down to it, penguin numerology is 33. And again, obviously, two penguins. So two penguins, you have your dual 33, just like the Grand Sovereign Commander when it comes to Freemasonry and the dual 33s. And in close-up, as I've shown countless times, and that gets back into Neil deGrasse Tyson and Chuck Nice. DeGrasse being 33, Chuck Nice being 33, the orange 33, and of course the all-seeing eye of CBS, which is the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. And I highly recommend for those that have not watched my video on Polaris is Lucifer. That's currently on my channel. It's an over an hour-long video presentation, basically stating how Lucifer is Polaris once again and how stars are souls. And just as you see here, the founder of the Satanic Church in San Francisco, California. And once again, they're all about symbolism and they're all about the stars. A 1/3 or 33% that were thrown from heaven along with Lucifer himself. I have to point this out as well when it comes to symbolism. Besides the obvious star, the inverted star, you see the lightning bolt. And this is a reference to the Bible verse Luke chapter 10 verse 18 where Jesus stated, I saw Satan fall to earth like lightning from heaven. So again, they're all about symbolism. If you can interpret what they're presenting, you'll have a fuller grasp of what's being presented. That gets back again to Chuck Nice, the number 33, and how the people that are running the show, they're all about the numbers game. So nice for those, no pun intended, to have a 33 name and to be propped up on the world stage. Here you see, obviously, Chuck Nice with Bill Nye. In Sirius XM, of course, Sirius being a star or an angel. Another aspect I pointed out before, stars and angels are interchangeable. They're one and the same. And that gets into this photo with, again, Chuck Nice with Neil deGrasse Tyson. What do you see on Chuck Nice's t-shirt? The duality symbol of the yin and yang. Of course, Freemasonry is all about duality. So make no mistake about it when it comes to these individuals that are propped up on the world stage. They're all 100% sellouts, and they love to leak the truth out. Just as when Chuck Nice stated how they faked the moon landings 9 times. That gets into this individual here, who many in the so-called truth community believe he's some type of hero. Nothing can be further from the truth when it comes to George Carlin. Take a listen here. He speaks the 100% truth, just as Chuck Nice did, but this is 100% stage. They try to create heroes. They have their controlled opposition at task. Take a listen for those who have not seen this clip. with George Carlin from years ago.
These people in the space program, nassholes, I call them.
So he calls them nassholes, and you see here, revealing the truth, but here you see George Carlin doing the 666 hand sign. And for those that don't know about this, it's the A-OK for society. It's the 666 for those that know about the occult. And for those that believe George Carlin is some type of hero, just take a look here. Doing the devil horns. Of course, he was an atheist. He mocked God many times during his stand-up routines, calling him the Sky Daddy and so forth. Here you see him from the 70s doing the Masonic hand sign. Of course, the diamond hand sign, Diamond 33 numerology, just as you see here, Diamond 33. And again, for those that think this is just some coincidence, it's just random that he does this, no. This is 1970s, going back to the 60s here. Take a look. To 1965. Let's remove the George Carlin name from the screen here and take a look. Doing the Masonic diamond sign. And just more of the same. He would not be on their television programming for decades and decades and decades unless he sold out. And again, this clip I showed where he calls NASA and their space program, he calls them a bunch of nassholes. That's just, again, the controlled opposition at work. And that gets into another huge puppet on the world stage, of course, Jim Carrey, who I've covered in recent videos. And you see here from In Living Color in the early 90s, in the all-seeing eye within the pyramid, of course. I've pointed out many times where the pyramid itself, the inner angle is 60 degrees. In numerology, the zeros mean nothing. So you have your 666 in plain sight with their so-called god, Polaris or Lucifer, dead center. And I should mention as well, behind the all-seeing eye of Polaris Lucifer is the black sun. Of course, the sun shines. It's the duality aspect of the black sun. And just like I pointed out with George Carlin mocking NASA, same exact thing with these fake truthers with Jim Carrey. And again, talking about the moon landing being fake, and we all know it is, but again, they're controlled opposition, so-called truth speakers, telling the truth through jokes. And this interaction, this is 100% staged between Jim Carrey and Jay Leno. This is scripted to play out for millions upon millions to see. Let's take a listen.
And they've run out of anecdotes, you know, and they just start making stuff up.
Yeah.
Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows?
Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon?
Talk about a fish story.
Yeah.
Man, and they're buying it.
Oh.
Of course, they're buying it, and that gets into this screenshot. Jim Carrey no longer has a Twitter account now called X, but I captured this screenshot back years ago. Again, this is from 2016 when he first posted this. He states here, "Don't worry, folks. As long as the sun is revolving around the earth, we'll be fine." Of course, the duality aspect, and this is the truth in plain sight, through a controlled comedian, where obviously earth is supposedly revolving around the sun. So again, they have these so-called truth speakers revealing some truth as a form of duality, and that gets into this video game, Call for Duty 4, where they have this charm, it's called, where it depicts God's created flat earth, stationary flat earth, as mentioned in the Bible. And this is why in society they have all of entertainment controlled by Masons, so they can leak the truth out in plain sight for all to see. And millions upon millions of people that play these video games have no idea of the concept of duality, where again, they must put the truth out in plain sight for all to see.
We have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will.
It's the dome. This is the dome.
Stars are secure in the firmament. The stars are secure in the firmament.
This is the fiction section. Fiction means it's a made-up story. Fiction means it's a made-up story.
I could have said the world was flat.
You know what I think? I think you accidentally told the truth.
Well, when I was standing outside that capsule, it was a very quiet and peaceful moment, you know. At that moment, you look at the world, and it looks very fragile. You could see the curvature of the Earth.
You've been lied to by textbooks, and that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner, he would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. Right. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that."
You could see the curvature of the Earth.
No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. That stuff is flat. You've been lied to by textbooks.
To keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
John, chapter 9, verse 25. Whereas once I was blind, now I can see.